Hello everyone! This hour on Verbling, the next in my great short stories series, we're doing our last class on Jane Bowles. Two stories by Jane Bowles. You've probably heard of Paul Bowles and the novel and film, I should say, The Sheltering Sky by Bernardo Bertolucci. But what about his wife, Jane, the inspiration for some of his great literary works, including the characters in The Sheltering Sky? She was a writer too, and a neglected one. So we'll discuss both short stories that we've read in the material that you find there on the Verbling page, and also we'll read a few excerpts so you can keep it fresh in your mind as we discuss it. Before we do that, a little bit about me. I'm John Eric, your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, hanging out in Lisbon, Portugal to bring you this class. By the way, here are 3 quick rules to help you participate in my class. Don't forget to turn off, tune in, and open up, which means please turn off your microphone when you're not speaking so we can keep the classroom quiet. Also, tune in to the new words you're learning when we are speaking so I can correct you and give you feedback. Last, open up to your classmates. Relax and have fun. We're all here to learn, and this is a safe and respectful place to practice your English. So, that's my introduction. Now I want to give you the link to the material if you don't have it. So you'll see in the chat window it says story. Okay, and you can open that link. And if you don't see it, go to the classroom chat and you'll see the link there as well. Okay? So, let's get started. Let's say a quick hello to Daniel. How are you, Daniel?
Hello, teacher. I'm
How's it
doing
going?
well.
Very good, very good.
Yes.
Did you have a chance to read either or both of the stories?
No.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well, I'll tell you what we probably don't have time to read the entire story, but we can read the very end of the first story to give you a sense of what's going on. Because it's so short that I think it's worth looking at the ending again, actually. Okay? So,
Okay.
and let's say a quick hello to Yuki. Hi, Yuki. Thanks for coming.
Hi, John.
What time is it there? It's very late, isn't it?
No, not so late. It's evening, 5 o'clock p.m.
Oh, it's 5. Okay, I thought it was later.
Yes.
So, here's what I was going to do. I definitely want to talk about both stories. The ending of Everything is Nice is so short that I thought it might be a good idea just to read the very end once, and everything is kind of wrapped up in those 2 pages or so. So if you go to the table of contents and you click on part 2, I marked off part of the story. There you go. For me, it's on page 6. I don't know if it's on page 6 for you. Okay, but you'll see where it says part 2. And what I'd like to do is just read those last, it's about roughly 2 pages of dialogue, so we can keep some of the themes fresh in our minds before we start to talk about the story. Daniel, were you not in the last class on Tuesday? Am I crazy? Or maybe... No, you weren't there on Tuesday. You were there yesterday, right?
I was yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay, fine. Okay. So you won't be able to get the benefit of the whole story, but I think the last 2 pages give you enough of a sense of what's going on that you'll be able to participate in the discussion. Okay?
Okay.
So this should take 5-10 minutes at the most. It's very short. Okay? I'll start, then we'll go to Yuki, then you, and back to me. We'll just each take a little section, okay?
Okay.
So I'll start us off right here, and then we'll go over to Yuki here. So the first part is Nazarene. By the way, Daniel, we found out that the woman in the story, whose name is Jeannie, she appears to be somewhere in North Africa, probably Morocco. And the local people call Westerners Nazarenes because they're Christians, so they're people from Nazareth.
Yes.
They're not really from Nazareth, but that's what they're called. Okay? So the first sentence, this Nazarene, said Zodelia, gesturing in her direction, spent half her time in a Muslim house with Muslim friends, and the other half in a Nazarene hotel with other Nazarenes. The woman Zodelia met Jeannie in a cliff on the edge of town and invited Jeannie to go to a wedding. It's kind of a mysterious meeting, and Jeannie followed her. Instead of going to a wedding, they end up going to a strange house where there's lots of women preparing food and crocheting or something like that. And she feels a little bit uncomfortable. So now she's being introduced to the other women, and she doesn't really know why she's there. All right? So that's the line where Zodelia is introducing her to Tetum, this other lady in the room. Okay? So that's nice, said the woman opposite. Half with Muslim friends and half with Nazarenes. The old lady looked very stern. She noticed that meaning Jeannie, noticed that her bony cheeks were tattooed with tiny blue crosses. So you have to picture this. They're in a dark room. She's just been brought to this strange house in this dark room, and the woman who's scrutinizing her has tattoos on her cheeks. How would you feel in that situation, Danielle? Would you feel comfortable?
No. I don't like tattoo. Maybe in a dark room, it's scary.
It's a little scary.
Very scary, yes.
I have a tattoo. You're not scared of me, are you, Danielle?
Depend on its locate.
Okay.
It's locate.
It's on my hand. You can't see it. Okay, Yuki, why don't you pick it up in this next section?
Okay. Why? Asked the old lady abruptly in a deep voice. Why does she spend half her time with Muslim friends and half with Nazarenes?
That's right, Nazarenes.
Nazarenes. She fixed her eye on Zodelia, never ceasing to shape the meat with her swift fingers. Now she saw that her necklaces her knuckles were also tattooed with blue crosses.
Yuki, can you just tell Danielle what that line means about shaping the meat? What's she doing in the room?
This is a wedding party. Yeah.
We're not really sure, but could be a wedding party. Yeah. What's she doing with her fingers?
This is a room where Muslim women gather, and they are now dining. They eat meat, but in quite a primitive way. The crumb of meat is placed there, and
she's kind of like making. She's like
remember.
Meatballs or something. She's taking the raw meat and kind of smushing it together. So
they're cooking, yeah, now.
Yeah, but they're in the living room, so they're kind of like shaping the meat into, like in a bowl as she's interrogating the genie. So just so that's clear, because Danielle didn't read the beginning. Okay, very good. Keep going, Yuki.
Okay. Is she crazy? No. Zodelia stared back at her stupidly. I don't know why, she said, shrugging one fat shoulder. It was clear that the picture she had been painting for them had suddenly lost all its charm for her. Is she crazy? The old lady asked. No, Zodelia answered listlessly.
Listlessly.
Listlessly. She is not crazy. There were shrieks. There were shrieks. There were shrieks of laughter from the mattress. The old lady fastened her sharp eyes on the visitor, and she saw that they were heavily outlined in black. Where is your husband? She demanded. He's traveling in the desert. Oh, he's traveling alone, yeah?
Yeah, he's alone.
Leaving
Leaving her all alone in a strange city.
That's why she was strolling along the street.
Maybe.
I see. Alone, yeah? Selling things, Zodelia put in. This was a popular explanation for her husband's trips. She did not try to contradict it.
To contradict.
She did not try to contradict it. Where is your mother? The old lady asked. My mother is in our country, in her own house.
Let's just take a quick pause there. Quick pause. By the way, let's say a quick hello to Andrew, who's joining us right now. Hi, Andrew. Are you there? I don't hear you. Andrew, when you get your mic on, say a quick hello to the group. We're just reading the end of the second story for Jane Bowles, and we're going to be discussing it. Okay, you can rejoin if you're having mic problems. No problem. Okay, no problem. So I was going to ask you, Yuki, notice this line here. The old lady fastened her sharp eyes on the visitor, that's Jeannie, and she saw that they were heavily outlined in black. And then she asked this question, where's your husband? To me, that's a very important moment without being stated. What do you think the woman notices about her, the old woman who's looking at her? Why does she notice that her eyes are outlined in black? What does that mean to her? What do you think? I have my suspicions. I'd like to know your opinion.
Maybe the old lady is also Muslim, yeah?
Of course, yeah.
She...
So Jeannie, she notices that Jeannie's eyes are outlined in black. In other words, what does Jeannie have on her eyes?
Jeannie's eyes may be blue. Yeah? No?
Well, I think... See, we have to decide whose eyes are whose. The old lady fastened her sharp eyes on the visitor, and she saw that they were heavily outlined in black. Here's the problem with the sentence. Whose eyes are heavily outlined in black? Is it Jeannie who saw that the old woman's eyes are heavily outlined in black? Or is it the old woman that saw that Jeannie's eyes are outlined? Because the sentence is hard to tell. I think Jeannie is discovering more features of the old woman. The old woman's got tattoos on her cheeks. Maybe not tattoos, maybe it's henna, right? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, John. Can you hear me now?
Hi, Andrew. Thanks
Hi.
for joining us.
Your time.
So we're just reading the end of the first story for Jane Bowles, and then we're going to discuss both stories. Even if you haven't read the other stories, don't worry. We're going to get enough details so we'll be able to talk about it, okay?
Sorry, they were heavily outlined in black. It's just makeup, yeah? They wear. No?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
It seems like they've got a lot of makeup.
So it looks more sharp for Jenny, yeah?
Yeah, we start to get this picture of this old woman. We can't really see her, but we see these things about her. Crosses on her cheeks, crosses on her knuckles, these little tattoos. Now, I don't know if they're crosses like Christian crosses or if they're just a design, but she seems to be heavily ornate. And then she's got these black lines around her face.
So it seems to Jenny that this old lady very severe, and the how to say the she she's how to say she's blamed she blamed her of being alone without a husband. Yeah, no.
That she blames her, maybe. She
Yes,
blames
she
her.
blamed
Yeah.
her.
Could be. Or if she doesn't blame her, at least she's very suspicious. Because they're all together in a room, and these women, apparently, there has to be a reason for her to be alone. So you can imagine these dark, black outlines and white piercing eyes staring at you, interrogating you. So the feeling is transmitted in a very vivid picture. Anyway, it's just a line that stands out for me. That's why I'm bringing it up. Let's discover some more. By the way, this is very short. We're actually almost at the end. Daniel, you didn't read yet, right, Daniel? So
Okay.
why don't you pick it up here at the bottom of the page?
Why
Sorry.
don't...
It's where is your mother? I think here.
Okay. Where is your mother? The old lady asked. My mother is in our country in her own house. Why don't you go and sit with your mother in her own house? She scolded. The hotel costs a lot of money. In the city where I was born, she began, there are many, many automobiles and many, many trucks. The women on the mattress were smiling pleasantly. Is that true? Remarked the one in the center in a tone of polite interest. I hate trucks, she told the woman with feeling.
I hate trucks.
I hate trucks,
Right.
she told the woman with feeling. The old lady lifted the bowl of meat off her lap and set it down on the carpet. Trucks are nice, she said severely. That's true, the woman agreed, after only a moment's hesitation. Trucks are very nice. Do you like trucks?
Wait. Look at the italics on you. That's the stressed word. Do you like trucks?
Okay. Do you like trucks? She asked Sodelia, thinking that because of their relatively retired intimacy, she might perhaps agree with her.
Keep going.
Yes. Yes, she said. They are nice. Trucks are very nice. She seemed lost in meditation, but only for an instant. Everything is nice, she announced, with a look of triumph.
Triumph.
Triumph, with a
Good.
look of triumph. It's the truth, the woman said from their mattress. Everything is nice.
Yeah, the women, all the women, right? It's the truth, the women said.
The
Everything.
women, sorry. The
Everything is nice.
The women said from their mattress, everything is nice.
So, Daniel, this is kind of a weird moment, an awkward moment, where she's being interrogated.
Silly woman.
And yeah, and so what do you think happened in this particular moment when she's talking about the trucks? And first someone calls out that they hate them, right? What actually happened? Nothing is really being explained to the reader. We have to just watch, like the Western woman is watching. She's in the situation, looking, trying to figure things out, and we're in the same position as her, as the reader. What do you make of this moment, Daniel? What do you think it means? What's really going on?
I think it's an absurd.
Absurd.
Something absurd, yes. Talking about something absurd. I like trucks, I don't like trucks.
Well,
it's nice, it's very nice.
Do you think that the women see cars and trucks very often?
I think in this place,
Yeah.
I think they could speak about camels or food or tattoos, but not trucks.
Yeah, they probably don't have any experience with
No.
cars and traffic, especially at the time when this was written, because we get the sense this happened quite a long time ago, like sometime maybe, 50, 60 years ago, something like that. So
Mhm.
especially at that time. By the way, this exact thing happened to me when I was in Tangier. Exactly the same thing. I'll never forget it. Uh, I was someone was asking me where I was from, and I said New York, and they just looked at me like I was crazy. They couldn't understand what I meant. What does it mean to be? Although when I was in New York, I knew people from Morocco. It wasn't it wasn't that strange. I'm just gonna mute you for a minute because I'm getting a lot of noise from your connection. Okay? But you can turn your microphone back on later when you're ready to speak. Just turn it off for a second. Anyway, just to tell you this story, this happened to me. I was trying to explain what New York was like, and I said, well, I remember saying, I live in Manhattan, and there's lots of cars, because I had to say something, and I said uh, something like, and at every traffic light, the street fills up with yellow cars, and it's as yellow as far as you can see. And then when the light turns green, all of the car lights, all the red lights disappear on the brake lights of the car, and the yellow swarm swims off. I said something like that, and I remember the guy who was taking us around Morocco. He kept talking about that image. He said, "Yes, yes, that is great. The yellow cars." Like he could picture it, he could understand. I had to say something that they could relate to. So I remember this. This happened exactly almost the same way to me. They had no frame of reference. And this was not long ago, okay? This was like a little over 10 years ago. It's not like it was in the 1950s, but they just couldn't imagine in that particular place. They have TV, they have internet, but even at that time, they had internet and cafes, so they got to see some of it, but they couldn't quite relate to what it's like living there. Um, so for those of you just joining us, Elise and Alan, we're reading the end. Oh, Elise disappeared. Bye. We're just reading the end of the first story by Jane Bowles, and we're talking about as we go along. We're going to finish it in just a minute, and we'll compare both stories we read. Andrew, would you like to continue reading this part here in blue?
Of course.
Go for it.
Do you like trucks? She said Zodelia, thinking that because of their relatively greater intimacy she might perhaps agree with her. Yes, she said, they are
Wait, wait.
nice.
I don't know where you are, Andrew. See where we are in blue? Look at the screen. See the sentence in blue?
Okay,
They,
okay,
yeah, we're there. Okay.
okay. They all looked happy, but
That's
the
it.
old lady was still frowning. Aisha, Aisha, she yelled, twisting her neck so that her voice could be heard in the patio. Bring the tea.
So Aisha is the name of one of the girls. She's calling for one of the girls.
Oh,
Aisha! She yelled. Bring the tea!
so, Aisha, okay. Okay. Mm, uh, we heard several little guests come into the room carrying the tea things and a long round table. Pass the cakes to the Nazarene. She told the smallest
Child?
child who was carrying a cat glass dish filled with cake
Piled with
piled with
cakes.
cakes.
Good.
She saw that they were the ones she had bought for Zedelia. Who is Zedelia?
So Delia is the girl, the young girl. She's not that young, but she's a young woman that the character, Jeannie, the main character, meets at the edge of town. And Zedalia invites her to a wedding. And instead of going to a wedding, they go to this strange house. And Jeannie feels uncomfortable. She's being interrogated by the women in the house. So now they're trying to, she talked about where she's from, and they're trying to get her to eat with them these cakes. But they're the cakes that Jeannie I think Jeannie had bought them for Zodelia, so she's eating her own cakes. They went to a cafe or something like that earlier in the story. So she was, I think she bought them or she told them. I forgot the detail now. Anyway, Zodelia is the woman that she met, and she went to the house with her. Okay, so Jeannie is the main character, and Zodelia is the woman that she met.
Okay.
Clear? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. She did not want any of them. She wanted to go home. 8. The woman called out from their mattress. Eat the cakes. The child passed the glass dish forward. The dinner at the hotel is ready, she said, standing up. Drink tea, said the old woman scornfully.
Scornfully.
Scornfully. Later you will sit with the other Nazarene and eat their food. The Nazarene will be angry if I am late. She realized that she was lying stupidly, but she could not stop. They will hit me. She tried to look wild and frightened.
Wild and
Wild
frightened.
and frightened.
So Andrew, what do you think she's trying to do now? What do you think Jeannie's trying to do by making up these lies? What's her purpose?
Okay. Uh,
Does she want to stay there and be with these women?
yes, I think so.
You think she wants to stay there? She's
Uh,
saying, "Oh, dinner's ready." She stands up. Dinner's ready at the hotel. If I don't go, they're gonna hit me. So do you think she wants to be there?
no, I don't think so.
No, she doesn't want to be there. She feels very uncomfortable. And the women are kind of forcing her to eat these cakes. So it's a very awkward situation. All right?
Yes.
Alan, let me give you a chance to read as well. Alan, can you pick it up from the bottom of the page?
Yeah, can you hear me well?
Yep, sounds great.
Okay. Drink tea, they will not hit you. The old woman told her. Sit down and drink tea. The child was still offering her the glass dish as she backed away toward the door. Outside, she sat down on the black and white tiles to lace her shoes.
To lace her shoes. To lace.
Okay, to lace her shoes. Only Zodelia followed her into the patio.
Patio, yeah, patio.
Okay. Come back, the others were calling. Come back into the room.
Okay, keep going.
Then she noticed the porcupine basket standing nearby against the wall. Is that old lady in the room your aunt? Is she the one you were bringing the porcupine to? She asked her.
When she met Zodelia at the beginning of the story, Zodelia showed her this dead porcupine in the basket. So this is a connection to the beginning of the story, okay?
Okay. No, she's not my aunt. Where is your aunt? My aunt is in her own house. When will you take the porcupine to her? She wanted to keep talking, so that Zodelia would be distracted and forget to fuss about her departure.
Okay, so what do you? I forgot what I was going to ask. We learned earlier I don't know, Yuki, do you remember why she had the porcupine just from the very beginning of the story?
Yes, in the beginning of the story, Zodelia,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
Zodelia, keep bring with her porcupine. She said it is for her own aunt.
Mm-hmm.
えーっと
So I guess they eat porcupine there. I think
maybe.
that's the plan.
Yeah, I think she'll keep it as a pet, no?
Was it alive? I can't remember now.
I can't remember. Maybe. Yes. They are.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was alive. Actually, I don't remember. Hang on a second.
They intend to eat porcupine.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Hang on a second.
I think no. I think porcupine. She said porcupine is useful.
No, it's dead. Look, it's dead. Look here. It's dead. In page 2.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Dead porcupine.
It's a dead porcupine.
Of course, they want to eat.
So I guess they're going to eat it. What else would you do with a dead porcupine if you're not going to eat it?
I don't know what its meat tastes like.
I have no idea. Well, Yuki, why don't you pick it up at this point here? So he finished off. She's trying to distract her by talking about the porcupine because the women are calling to bring her back into the house. So pick it up from there, Yuki.
Okay. The porcupine sits here, she said firmly, in my own house. She decided not to ask her again about the wedding. When they reached the door, Zodelia opened it just enough to let her through. Goodbye, she said behind her. I shall see you tomorrow. If Allah
If Allah
wills it. When 4 o'clock, it was obvious that she had chosen the first figure that had come into her head. Before closing the door, she reached out and pressed 2 of dry Spanish cakes into her hand. Eat them, she said graciously. Eat them at the hotel with the other Nazarenes.
Exactly, because Nazarenes have never had cake in their life, so this is a big deal.
Yes. She started up steep alley. Headed once again for the walk along the cliff. The houses on either side of her were so close that she could smell the dampness of wood and feel it on her cheeks like a thicker air. When she reached the place where she had met Zodelia, she went over to the wall and leaned on it. Although the sun had sunk behind the house, the sky was still luminous, and the blue of the world had deepened. She rubbed her fingers along it, and wash was fresh, and the little powdery stuff came off. And she remembered how once she had reached out to touch the face of Clown. Because it had awakened some longing. It had happened at a little circus, but not when she was a child.
And that's it. Listen to this paragraph once again. Listen and picture this in your mind. Listen again. because there's a lot going on, I think, in that last paragraph. So she's just gotten away from the house, the strangeness, and she's got a cake in her hand. And when she reached the place where she had met Zodelia, she went over to the wall and leaned on it. So we're back to the beginning of the story at the wall. Although the sun had sunk behind the houses, the sky was still luminous and blue. So it's twilight now. And the blue of the wall had deepened. She rubbed her hands along it, along the wall. The wash was fresh, the paint was fresh, and a little of the powdery stuff came off. The color of the wall came off on our hands. And she remembered how once she had reached out to touch the face of a clown because it had awakened some longing. It had happened at a little circus, but not when she was a child. Wow. What here? I've got some discussion questions, and I think even if you haven't read the whole story, you can still probably talk about this. The wedding, we're going to talk about the ending in just a second, but my first question is about the wedding. The wedding was discussed, but never visited. Why not? Was there some kind of a wedding in another sense in the story? I mean, for me, the wedding really stands out, and yet we don't see the wedding, but I can't help but think that that has some, I don't know, some other meaning, some other purpose, or some symbolism or something. I'm not sure. So what do you think? Why was the wedding never visited? What do you think happened? Yuki, you said that that's the wedding party that we saw. You said that they were preparing for the wedding, right?
She said she would love to go to the wedding, but not to this one, because she already feels the big difference of their culture and their culture. So culture's gap. So I don't know. Maybe she is afraid of joining the wedding to know that more big difference between them.
And I also wonder, was that the wedding preparation she went to, or was the wedding just some excuse? I even wonder if there was any wedding. Maybe we don't really know what's going on in the story. So
no,
I
first
wonder.
of all, Jane can imagine that the food, the food
being prepared.
Being prepared for the wedding is not for her. It's not, maybe she dislikes these foods. She don't like to eat a cake. Such a kind of that kind of cake, and of course porcupine. It's not her taste, so
don't knock it until you've tried it. Try porcupine and then tell me. Yeah. It could be that the place we went to was the preparation for the wedding. It could be. That makes sense. And it could be that she feels so outside of the culture that she just has to leave. She doesn't feel right. It could be that that's what's going on. But I have another theory. I think the wedding is between her and Zodelia. That's my theory. My theory is that they are the ones who just got married, and the ring is the cake being passed from Zodelia to Jeannie, and the marriage is between the East and the West, and it's a very uncomfortable marriage. I think that the marriage is something that happens under the surface. It's just a theory. I could be totally wrong, of course, but I think that there is a wedding and we see it happening. And the priest, although this is a Muslim culture, symbolically, the priest, the one who marries them, is the old woman with the crosses on her cheeks. And
I think she would be the only one Nazareth woman among the people in the wedding, so she would be awkward among them.
But I think the wedding happened.
Feel awkward.
My theory is just a theory. My theory is that there was a wedding, and the wedding is what the story is about, and it's symbolic. I think the wedding is the moment. Are you ready for my theory? It's a bit crazy. Are you ready? Do you want to hear a crazy theory?
Yes, yes.
Okay. My theory is that Genie is attracted to Zodelia, and Zodelia is attracted to Genie.
They
And-
are women.
Yeah, and that
Lesbian.
and that she's attracted to her, so she has a homosexual attraction to Zodelia. That's my theory. And the reason
I don't think so. So you think you think that Dodelia is a lesbian?
I think so. Here's why. Here's why. Wait, I told you it's crazy. Here's why.
But they are Muslim people. Muslim people are allowed to get married to homosexual partner.
I'm not saying it's a real marriage. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a symbolic marriage. In the symbolism of the story, I think the wedding is the approval of this woman, Genie, by the elder woman with the crosses tattooed on her face. I think it's all symbolic. Because again, I'm telling you, it's just my theory. When we first meet Zodelia, she's at the wall, and her and Genie look down on the cliff, and they see a woman bathing in the ocean. And so she's kind of like more or less naked, right? Not really, but she's showing skin. And Muslim women in that time period had to be covered completely. Now, if you go to Morocco, it's not really like that. It depends on where you are.
As a symbolic meaning, I understand what you say. I
Yeah.
think the main theme of this story is kind of marriage, kind of maybe similar, maybe a gap between Eastern and Western culture.
Exactly.
I think
that's what I'm getting at.
Story is taking place in the place in the Morocco, where people think that this is a crossroad of Western and Eastern countries. So it's very symbolic meaning. Maybe wedding have such a meaning. It is a place Eastern and Westerns meet together.
Absolutely, and I think there's more than one level. On the surface, she's just going to a house with a new friend. On another level, I think it's a wedding between East and West, just like you said. And on another level, below that, I have a feeling that her husband is away, and she has an attraction to Zodelia because Zodelia is mysterious, and because there's something going on. I just have a feeling that that's the case. Of course, I know the biography of Jane Bowles, so I know that she had a lesbian lover. So I know that's what's going on.
It is suspicious for me that Zodelia is a lesbian girl.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. By the way, what about the rest of you?
Although she is described as a boyish here in this story, I feel she's
Described as what? I'm sorry?
Described as a boyish girl.
Boyish.
Like a
masculine.
boy. Like a masculine, yes.
Ah, okay. Yeah. But Danielle and Andrew and Alan, give me some opinions. You're all very quiet. What do you make of the stories, even if you've only read the ending? What do you make of this situation so far? I'm just curious because
very strange story for me. I'm lost.
I wanted to share the story because Jane Bowles is not well known, but she's an amazing writer.
I don't love it, and I'll read it this weekend.
Read it again. Read it again.
Yes.
We can talk about it in a future
Yes.
Great Short Stories class as well.
From the beginning.
Have you seen the famous film Sheltering Sky? This story is based on this film. This film is based on this story. Maybe.
Daniel, did you see the film?
Sorry?
The
Yuki's
Sheltering
asking.
Sky.
Can't understand. Could you repeat?
Have you seen the film The Sheltering Sky.
I can't
Maybe
understand.
no,
Sorry,
because in Yuki in Spanish it has a different title. It's
Maybe.
it's called
It's
uh,
Bernardo Bertolucci's film, famous film. Maybe
yeah,
it is Oscar, maybe, no?
it's
it,
from a film.
yeah,
Yes, this story is based, this film is based on this story, partly.
partly based on this story. Do you know in Spanish the film is probably called Te how do you say in Spanish? Deserto.
Desierto.
How do you say tea? It's te, isn't it? Te freddo? No, that's Italian.
The drink. Te.
It's a drink. How do you say tea in Spanish?
Te.
Tea?
Te.
So it's
Te.
in Spanish it's probably called tea in the desert. Because
Un té en el desierto.
yeah, because in Portuguese it's called chá no deserto. So it's probably translated. But the actual title of the film is
El
The Shelter.
Cielo Protector. Have you heard? El Cielo Protector.
Is that what it's called?
No?
In Spanish?
Yes.
I don't sound it.
I'll give you a
El
link.
Cielo Protector.
El cielo protector.
Yes. No?
No.
No.
Andrew, where are you from originally? Because I forgot to do an introduction there. Where are you from, Andrew?
I am from Russia.
You're from Russia. Okay, fantastic. And Alan, where are you from? You sound like you're from Brazil.
Yeah, I'm from Brazil.
Okay.
In
So-
Russian, Padu Pakrova Nives. Have you heard it?
The name of the film, is that it, Yuki?
Padu Pakrova Nives. Padu Pakrova Nives.
Andrew, have you heard of that film?
The Sheltering Sky.
Andrew? Oh, we lost Andrew.
Okay.
What about you, Alan? Have you seen the film? Chá no Deserto?
No, never.
But you
Never
know
heard.
you know Bertolucci, the director. Yes or no?
I've heard this name.
Okay. So if you get a chance to see the film, what we're reading was one of the she was writing in her diary, the real person, the wife of the author was writing in her diary, and then she published the stories as fiction. And not Bertolucci, but Paul Bowles wrote the novel. So it's all very kind of confessional writing. It's about things that really happened to them. In fact, I want to just give you a little background. If you hang on a second, I want to just read you a very, very short background about this. I have the link there on screen. If you can, uh-oh, wait a second. That's not right. Give me just a second. Where did I put it? Hold on. Because I have the wrong link. Hold on a second. Uh-oh. Well, let me see if I can just search for it, because what I want to read was just there's an interesting story about this. Hang on a second, and it's very, very short. Let me just see if I can find the page I was looking for. 1 second. Oh, I can't stand Chrome. It always makes mistakes. 1 second. If I can't find it in the next 5 seconds, I will give up. Hold on a second. Everything is nice. This is it. I found it. Let me see if I can open the page for you. Everything is Nice has an unusual publication history. This is from the link that I gave you in the top. Jane Bowles first wrote it as a non-fiction essay. In fact, she was writing in her diary, and then she published it as a non-fiction essay, which appeared as East Side North Africa in a magazine called Mademoiselle in 1951. Later, Paul Bowles transposed it into fiction. So Paul Bowles, her husband, is the one who fictionalized it by changing the first-person narrator to third-person and by removing certain comments about women in society. The edited short story is included in the collected works of Jane Bowles, 1978, And recently, the original piece was published in the portable Paul and Jane Bowles, edited by Millicent Dillon. A comparison of the two endings of the story points out certain subtleties at work in the versions. All right? So let me just give you one more paragraph here. Not much appears to happen. Jeannie, a Western woman, a Nazarene, the catch-all Moroccan term for Western foreigners, as if they were all Christian, in an otherwise unidentified blue Muslim town, meets a Muslim woman. The woman identifies herself as Zodelia, and she takes the Westerner through a narrow alley and into a dark house where a number of women and their babies are gathered. They talk. An old woman named Tetum puts questions to the Western woman in a brusque manner. Brusque means forceful, rude manner. Jeannie is offered tea and cakes, which she has purchased for Zodelia. So they're offering her back her own cakes. But she refuses and gives the preposterous excuse that the other Nazarenes will, at her hotel, will be angry if she's late for an appointment. They will hit me, she cries, looking wild and frightened. The ploy does not work, and she is offered food. She backs out of the room, but not before Zodelia has made her promise that she'll return the next day. Jeannie returns to the spot where the story opened. The original ending was a little different. It's only one paragraph. I'll just read you the original ending. She says, the original ending ended this way. When I reached the place where I had met Zodelia, I went over to the wall and leaned against it. Although the sun had sunk behind the houses in back of me, the sky was still luminous, and the color of the blue wall had deepened. So far it's almost the same. I rubbed my fingers along it. The wash was fresh and a little of the white powdery stuff came off, but no matter how often I walked through these streets, reaching out to touch the chalky blue wash on the walls, on the houses, on the walls, I could never satisfy my longing for the town. So that's different. I remember once I reached out to touch the beautiful and powdery face of a clown because his face had awakened some longing. It happened at a little circus, but not when I was a child. Okay, so that's the original ending. It has that extra sentence, I could never satisfy my longing for the town. So my question for all of you is, that's why I have this theory about the relationship between her and Zelia. Because what is the longing about? It seems to have a depth to it. It seems to have an insinuation. So that's partly where my theory comes from. So the question number 2, we have time for maybe one more. Question number 2 is, the ending of the story is striking. If for no other reason, it is so out of place. What do you think the relationship is between the memory of touching the clown's face and the powdery stuff that rubs off when she touches it? In other words, what do you think about the ending? We've got about 2 minutes, so I'd like to hear everyone's opinion about the ending. It must be important, or the story wouldn't have ended with that image. What do you think it means?
You are asking about the meaning of ending,
Yeah.
we suppose, yeah? I think although Jane denied the invitation to go to wedding, and
Well, she's going to meet her the next day, apparently, because she does ask, oh, when do you want to meet? So there does seem to be some continuation with her and Zodelia the next day. But yes, she backed away from the party. Yeah, she left.
Yes, although she left the party early, some kind of feeling left inside her. It is kind of how to say, it's a warm feeling. I think that that remind her of the memory of childhood, when she had touched the face of clown. So although when she met with these people, Muslim women, she felt awkward, but she at the same time she felt a warm feeling with her. Maybe even if she was envious of their close relationship with them.
Because she's alone, right? Because her husband
Yes,
left
she
her
felt
alone
alone because her spouses came to Morocco, far from America. Yeah, from.
Yeah.
Yes, and now she is completely alone after her husband going out to the desert. So
Right.
she felt, I suppose she felt completely alone. But they are Muslim women have a close relationship with each other. Maybe she felt envious with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. And also the other thing that's striking is the memories are similar, right? She touches the face of the circus clown, and the circus clown obviously has makeup, so the makeup will come off in her fingers. She touches the wall on the cliff of the town, probably in Tangier. And because if you've been to Tangier, it's up on a hill, right? It's like this. So everywhere you go, you're looking down at the ocean. So she touches the wall of the cliff, and the powdery stuff comes off. The paint comes off in her fingers, and she makes this connection about longing. Maybe it's a childhood longing. I don't know. I think it's something else, but that's just me. Well, listen, let's do this. I think that for those of you, I don't know if I got my camera working or not. Hang on. Oh, sorry. You don't want to see my coffee cup. Sorry. I have my camera in the wrong place. So there we go. Let's do this. I'd like you to read a story by Paul Bowles, and maybe in the next class we can read Paul Bowles, who edited this story, and you'll notice the similar writing style. And maybe what we can do is then talk about Paul Bowles in comparison to Jane Bowles. You'll see his stories are very different. They're very different, but the style is similar, the striking images and the strong colors. So I'll do that for next week, if that's okay with everyone. Remember, next week my schedule is back to normal, so I'll be teaching in the morning most days. Okay? And then we can talk about everything together. So read the story again over the weekend, and we'll talk about it in relation to Paul Bowles, if that's okay with everyone. Sound like a plan? All right. I'll be back in just a minute to start the business class, so stick around for that if you like. We're going to be ending our unit on being innovative and pitching ideas about innovative products. Totally different class, completely different. Bye for now, everyone. See you soon.